Right, very good afternoon to you all. I hope you're all good. It's Steve here from Weather Focus. It's Thursday, the 14th of December, 2023. We're here to take a look at the weather for the next few days, and we're also going to be taking an extended look into next week and up to Christmas because there is the possibility of some wintry stuff approaching Christmas Day, and I thought it was a bit of fun just to track it on the 12 days of Christmas leading up to it. So without further ado, let's get it all started. Well, this is the picture on the facts chart today. Weather fronts pushing down across the country, leading to a generally rather cloudy feel out there. That's the Dunstable Downs at the moment, misty, murky, all a bit miserable. There's been a bit of drizzle around as well. But to the north, this is Cumbernauld in Scotland. The weather fronts have cleared through, the skies have cleared, and it's a fairly sunny afternoon up there. So, yeah, not bad at all. In terms of temperatures, things are picking up slowly at the moment, widely around about 6 to 8 degrees across the UK. But yeah, just notice across the North Sea towards Scandinavia, it is still very, very cold indeed. And if we take a little look at Bergen in southwest Norway, that's the wintry scene there this afternoon. Miserable afternoon. Snow has been falling. Temperatures around about -2 degrees. So winter holds on up there for a little while longer. For those of you that are interested in the winter solstice, this is the scene at midday today in Skarsvåg at 71 degrees north. The sun is now below the horizon at midday. They've just gone into their polar night. So yes, a sure sign that the winter solstice is very near now. And if you want to go one step further, let's go up to Spitsbergen, or should we say Svalbard? That's the new word for it these days. This was at midday or just before pitch black polar night, and that's the case for the next 3 months for those guys. So yeah, that's just a little look around Europe. Right, back to the UK, back to our forecast, and we're going to take a look at the pressure patterns. So we've seen over the course of the next few days how these reds, that's transferring high pressure across many parts of southern England, Wales, centering itself over France, and that's where it's going to be situated over the weekend. But next week, just notice how the pressure starts to ebb away back towards the southwest again. The Atlantic starts to come in, and that's where the changes to colder weather start to manifest. So we'll have a look at the jet stream. So we all like a jet stream forecast. This is the scene at midday on Sunday. So you've got the pebble in the stream, or the boulder, the rock, call it what you want, diverting all the weather systems well to the north of the UK over Iceland. But yeah, northern Scotland and western Scotland are on the periphery of this high pressure, so always at risk of Atlantic-based weather fronts and rain. So we'll now just take a look at the sequence. Let's move you out the way again. Thank you very much. Check that we've got the GFS. So yet today, as we've seen, rather cloudy. It's clearing from the northwest and things are improving. Tomorrow, Friday, a generally dry and bright day for most of us. Variable amounts of cloud and sunny skies. Temperatures a little bit higher tomorrow, probably back into double figures for most of us. Then we move into Saturday. Again, another dry and fine day, but weather fronts will be starting to affect the far northwest of Scotland later on in the day, and that will slowly transfer very, very slowly southeastwards into parts of Northern Ireland and other parts of central and southwest Scotland by the end of the day. Sunday, a slight difference from what was shown yesterday. That weak weather front will be pushing down a little bit further north to bring a bit of a spoiler across many parts of Ireland, perhaps as far as the borders, and then coming into northern England and parts of North Wales later on in the day. So that front has changed. That was a little bit different yesterday. Just goes to show how things do change in the models moving forward. So we'll just take this up to Monday, and then by then notice how the breezes, they've started to become stronger. There's more rain bands starting to push in from the west. That area of high pressure, as we've seen, is now pushing out the way, and we're starting now to look towards the west in the northwest for our changes. We'll just take a quick look at rainfall for the next few days. So that high pressure keeps things high and dry across many parts of England, Wales, and the eastern half of the UK, and also the eastern half of Scotland, protected from the highlands. Also, it'd be very mild up in there, parts of eastern Scotland with that phone effect. Temperatures could be notably high this weekend, up as high as possibly 16 degrees, something to keep an eye on. Right, we're now going to start to look for this change. So we're going to use the 850 HPA temperatures. These are the temperatures 1500 meters up in the sky. And if we follow it from Wednesday, this is the day of change. We've seen that the opening days of next week are more of a westerly, but as we start to move into Wednesday, things do start to cool down from the north. So already by Wednesday, the air is colder over Iceland. It's starting to cool across the north of Scotland as well. But on Wednesday, still relatively mild across the UK. Right, subtle difference with today's forecast, as if you were watching it yesterday. Thursday was shown as the day where we were all going to be in those blues. Well, this morning's run slightly different. It's delaying the onset of the much colder air mass aloft. That delays it until Friday. If you see this as a situation on Friday the 22nd, by then colder air is still on course to flood into the UK. But again, somewhat delayed from reaching the south. So, yep, there have been some subtle changes between the forecast of yesterday and this morning. And then by the 23rd, well, there you go. UK still in this very unsettled theme. Westerly air masses, west northwesterly, probably plenty of showers packing onto those western coasts and northern hills where they will be wintry with those upper air profiles. And even if we push through to Christmas Eve, it's still cold and the wintry potential remains. We're going to have a little look at those ensembles and we'll have a little look at those spikes in a moment. Right, what have we got here? Right, yeah, so these are your temperature anomalies again. So just over the course of the next few days, it picks it up quite nicely. Notice how Scandinavia today is still very much in the freezer, but that mild air starts to flood into the west of the UK tomorrow, across Scotland on Friday, and then by the time it gets to Saturday, there you go, Scandinavia is warming up quite nicely. So that's still on track to warm up there across Scandinavia. No doubt there will be a decent thaw going on across many southern parts of Scandinavia before things start to cool off next week. So if we just take a look at this anomaly chart for Monday, so things are starting to change. We start to lose the very, very mild southwesterly air mass. Notice there's quite a clear demarcation there between positive anomalies of +3 or so and behind the front temperatures back to normal. So it will be a staggered change to something a little bit cooler. So that's the situation on Monday the 18th. The anomalies, they start to cool off across the UK on Tuesday the 19th. Still rather mild in the south, but those fronts will be edging in. Thursday, or should I say Wednesday the 20th, this was the day of change. Yesterday we were shown as deeply blue. Today there's a little bit of a fly in the ointment in the form of another weather disturbance that will be coming in just to keep things a little bit milder. And that will be the same for Thursday the 21st. But by the time we reach Friday the 22nd, it's delayed a little bit, but it is on its way still. The models are still pointing towards a colder period of weather between, well, that's the 23rd. That's Christmas Eve, some really quite cold weather generally across the country. And this is the big day itself, Christmas Day, rather cold across the UK. But just notice an area of low pressure pushing in from the southwest, marking the boundary between the cold air, which will be in situ across the UK, and milder air pushing in from the Atlantic. And we all know what happens at this time of year when you get the meeting of the cold air and the warm air masses. You've guessed it, yes, wintry potential. But it all depends how deeply entrenched this cold air gets in the UK before any attack from the Atlantic comes off. So once again, it's all a long way off, 11 days away, all said with low confidence. Right, we'll now just take a look at the weather patterns from the onset of that cold spell, which is due. I'm going to take it from Wednesday the 20th again. So Wednesday is a day which is rather cloudy, and it was, this one is shown as a little bit milder. But notice those breezes are now starting to turn into the northwest by the 21st, shortest day. So things are starting to turn colder. So this is Friday the 22nd. Excuse me. More rain and showers across the certainly England and Wales, but towards the north, notice how those purples are starting to become more prevalent. Yes, that's snow, particularly over the higher ground, particularly over the mountains of Scotland, northern England, and then another front pushing through on Saturday the 23rd will push colder air down across many parts of England. But the question is, will this cold air get into the south? Are the south in with a chance of a white Christmas? Well, let's see. This is Christmas Eve, so yeah, a cold, breezy day and unsettled day across the country. This is shown on the 6 o'clock run this morning. Wintry showers, particularly in the north and west. Probably some accumulations over the high ground. Right, we'll have a little sneaky peek onto Christmas Day itself. And if you remember, we were looking at that milder air starting to push in. That's the rain pushing in, but look at that as it pushes up across the UK into that colder air. This morning's model run is showing perhaps a significant snow event across many parts of northern England for a time, southwest Scotland, and then as that pushes in the milder air later on the day, the heavy snowfall is reserved for Scotland. So yeah, lots to be keeping an eye on. No doubt things will change. Right, so we will now just take a look at the ensembles just to see where that particular run sits in the mix. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you, this is the operational run. This is what we saw this morning. So you can see this is the 850 HPA temperatures. So yes, it is mild. It's all generally good agreement. Perhaps later on in the period, some sort of a high, sort of a bit of an outlier there. But yes, if we just take a look at the pack in general, perhaps for England, or should I say for London, confidence for the cold spell isn't quite as pronounced as perhaps it was yesterday. Although some of these runs do go below -5, there's a fair few there now that are hanging up higher than what they were showing yesterday. But again, as with yesterday, there is a drop off around about the 19th. Right, let's move up towards Manchester. Confidence in Manchester for a cold spell commencing around the 19th. Probably a little bit higher. The clusters are tighter together. Again, if you squint your eyes, there seems to be a good propensity of colder sort of ensembles there, running around that 22nd to 25th period. A little bit of uncertainty again around that 21st period with that weather front pushing in. But yeah, I would say looking at that, confidence for a cold spell and potentially wintry spell across Manchester is higher than London. Right, let's trip up to Inverness. And this is the scene for Inverness. Again, the ensembles rather warm, 850 temperatures, upper air until around the 18th. Drops away towards the 19th, as was shown yesterday. And then after, yeah, it picks up the cold spell. But again, I don't think there's as much confidence on this run of a cold spell compared to yesterday morning. The cold runs are cold, but yeah, there's still a number of those runs, excuse me, that are still sort of, on the mild side. And so any cold spell at the moment can only really be forecast with moderate confidence. Right, the snow depths. Let's now just take a look at those. Are they still being shown? Let's go to London. Let's see if there's any potential being picked up. And yes, there is still a little bit shown. So again, from the 20th of December through until the 25th, the odd sort of like spike here or there. But I've got to say, I think that's probably a little bit down on where we were yesterday. Right, let's take a look at Manchester. Oh yes, Manchester. Certainly more confidence for accumulating snow depths up in Manchester in that period, 20th to the 25th, probably due to the fact that Manchester's a little bit more exposed to a westerly breeze off the Irish Sea, more chance of showers, and with colder air, yet the probability of snowfall up in Manchester is higher than London. And then let's go to Inverness. Well, once again, yeah, good signal for snow across many parts of Scotland, as we've seen. Just look at the scale. It looks less than Manchester, but some of those spikes, or one or two of those spikes, do go up towards 20 centimetres. So yes, good confidence, certainly for an increase in snow potential across the north of the UK and particularly Scotland in that Christmas week. Right, a few of you said, well, you're not comparing apples with apples, so I'm going to show you what the GFS ensembles looks like. We've seen that. I'm going to use the ECM as well and stick the 850s on there as well. Oh, we've lost it. I think. Have we lost the ECM? Yes, but trust me, they are pretty much aligned in thinking that things will start to turn that little bit colder from around about the 21st or the 22nd. So that's it in summary. I hope you've all found the forecast useful. I'll be back again tomorrow taking a look at the situation again. Will confidence, would it have increased? Would it have decreased? Tell us what you think. Put a bit of a line in the chat below. Is there anything you'd like to see in this forecast? Certainly enjoyed doing them, and yeah, I think it's all, as I mentioned, just a bit of fun. Please give us a like, please give us a share, and if you really like it, subscribe. I'm going to sign off now. It's 2:10. In the meantime, all have a lovely afternoon. Look after yourselves, and ciao for now.